All right, we're starting. But my coffee, hang on, I gotta get my coffee. First thing, very unprofessional. Very unprofessional. My God, I couldn't get the coffee under the broadcast. It was very bad of me. I needed my coffee. It's a long day already. Long day. Get this shit going. Let's get this going. Now I gotta turn off this off. There we go. Because Google doesn't give you an option. They've had live streaming technology for 3 years now. And for you to see the super chat, see you high-knockers, who do we got here? We got Atham, Clary equals El Chaparrito, Atham, El Chaparrito. And I'm not kidding. Let me, maybe, do I have it? I could do the share screen. Yeah, let me show you guys this because John Steele was supposed to be on the show, but he said he's busy up till 4 p.m. Pacific. Which means he's up busy right till now. But let me show you the new motorcycle patch I got in the making. Now, how do I share my screen? Yeah, here, screen share. Check this out. This is what I'm going to have done for the back of my motorcycle patch. You guys have seen the pinup of my original motorcycle jacket, which is the red she-devil. Some of you have seen that. And I'm going to have this made. This originally came from Rocky Patel Cigars. Obviously, you can see there down on the bottom says Rocky Patel Cigars. And I'll give them a shout-out. I'm going to give them a plug because I asked them, I said, hey, because I go to cigar lounges, I see Rocky Patel Cigars. I saw this banner. It says, socialism stinks, cigars doesn't. And I was like, oh, that's a cool, that's probably one of the coolest pinup girls I've seen drawn, the style, Americanism thing like that. I'm like, I want that on the back of my motorcycle jacket. And I said, hey, I contacted RockyPatel.com and their guy says, yeah, here's the image. I'm like, dude, that's so freaking cool. I'm like, I'm not going to make money on it. I'm not going to sell. I just think that's a really cool patch. And they didn't pull any of that dickheadery move. They didn't say like, oh no, you got to pay us or you got to contact. They're like, yeah, here's the original image. It's poster size, obviously, because it's a poster when you want to buy it. And so now I'm going to convert that into a motorcycle patch. Got to get my coffee. And for once, it went the way it should have. For once, it was like, yeah, we'll do you a solid. And so I'm looking very forward to that. I'm going to finish this off. So getting back to Atham in the chat room. Let's go back there. There we are. Atham calls me El Chaparrito. And on the top, so the pinup girl is going to be center, just a circle center. But at the top in that, what is it? Atham, what do they call that? Only you Mexicans do it, where you got the Virgin Mary praying in the back of a truck, and that's very ornate font. Like there's the picture of the Virgin Mary, but you guys fucking have children out of wedlock anyway. So that always confused me a little bit. But then there's like, El Bandito or Rodriguez or something like that. I want it to be El Chaparrito right on the top of the shoulder, pinup girl right there, and then various individual patches as I populate the new motorcycle jacket. The new motorcycle jacket. I got this one here. I hung it up. That's right. It's past the season. I retired it. But then I have my motorcycle jacket down in Vegas. That's got no patches. And I said, well, I'm going to get some patches. But the problem with getting your motorcycle jacket patched, if you have it done correctly, you get a very good tailor who specializes in leather work. And what they'll do, modern motorcycle jackets, they got a ton of shit going on. They got the lining. They have winter lining. Then they have armor pads, like you got basically shoulder pads, elbow pads, a spine pad. Those all have to be removed, and then they will sew in through the leather patches. So all the patchwork I've had done on my motorcycle jacket has probably easily ran me almost as much as the jacket is. The jacket was a $400 jacket, which is worth it. Which is definitely worth it. When you think, hey, spinal injury, maybe I'll drop an extra $50, So I got a new jacket down south. And what you want to do is get all the patches you want up front, so they only disassemble your jacket once. They put all the patches on, and then you get yourself a patched up motorcycle jacket. The only thing I have a problem, I have somewhat of a moral problem. I don't know how much you guys pay attention to motorcycle jackets or vests, but usually you got to ride out. Here's the etiquette. Here's the rules. You have to ride to the place you're going to get the patch. All right. The big issue is like Sturgis. You get your Sturgis and the year, like 2013. You went to the Sturgis motorcycle rally. Sturgis 2013. Well, you have better have ridden your motorcycle out there, not trailered it out. So for those of you who have met me in person, you've seen my motorcycle. Every patch I got on that, I drove out there from the Twin Cities on my motorcycle and did it. So the Oatman, Arizona patch, the Dragon's Tail, Highway 129. I don't have a Sturgis patch, even though I've driven to Sturgis multiple times because it's overkill. And it's not what it used to be. Not even my damn thing. Back in the day, it was something. Now it's just a bunch of big, fat, white bankers that go. It's a bunch of bucket listers that go, hey, I'm going to go to Sturgis. And they trailer their bikes out. And they all got nice, clean bikes. And there's 200 miles on the odometer. And what is it? Not GM. Harley Davidson has the luxury package that if you break down, they'll send out a limo or a private jet to fly you back. You can stay at a 5. You almost hope your vehicle breaks down. You almost hope. Then I got my patch, and there's no wind wear on the motorcycle jacket or vest. There's just nothing. It's like it's brand new. It's all shiny. It's like they just put brand new oil on their jacket. And then they're like, I rode it in Sturgis. Like, the fuck you did. You went up and down the block a couple times at 3 miles an hour because there was so many prune-titted baby boomer women without their shirt on. You couldn't go any faster. Hang on. This is not sitting right. This is all fucked up. The head. You know what? Maybe I'll put this on this way. There, that might be better. I'll put the head on. Fuck. Just knock the damn... You know what? Fuck it. Fuck the head. Fuck it. Gotta get situated, gotta get comfy. Anyway, so I gotta get the camera right, get my glorious face in there. So I gotta order this patch, get it sent in. I'm gonna have it mailed down to Las Vegas, and then I'm going to the place to get your stitching done. I talked to the motorcycle guys at the shop down in Vegas. I say, where do you get patchwork done? And they're like, you got to go to Bitchin' Stitchin'. I'm like, Bitchin' Stitchin', huh? They're like, yeah, Bitchin'. I'm like, gosh. I have to go now. You just got to see it. I got to see what Bitchin' Stitchin' is like. So I have a new jacket, a bunch of artistic, not a bunch, but just a handful of some of the key artistic patches. But then I think I may have to re-earn any of the other patches I get. Like if I drive down to Mexico, then I'll get the Mexican flag. If I drive down to, I don't know, drive out to British Columbia again or something. I don't know. The Sickmas, I go to the Stomp in Canada, then I'll get the Stomp patch. But you got to kind of earn them. And so I'm like, well, I have every right to put all on these patches. I've been places before and just buy them on the internet and slap them on. I'm like, that's kind of what most people do is they get it. They don't even go there. And then they buy the patch on the internet for $3 and they slap it on. I'm like, oh, did you ride to Hyder? Yeah, I did. Oh, really? Which way'd you go? The north route. Then little do they know there's only one way to go. Anyway, so it is Asshole Consulting Live. Chad, where's Chad in the chat room? I'm like, hey, Chad, you want to come on? And you're like, oh, no. I'm like, oh, no, John will show up. I'm like, I don't know. I got a feeling. I just got a feeling. And he did it. And so I'm fully prepared. Super chats are available. We'll go into the chat. Already we got one. Let's go through it real quick before I go. I'll do one. I got to do sponsors. I haven't done sponsors. I've been experimenting with having other people kind of guest asshole consulting. And the good news is I've extended an invite to a couple more notable people, some internet celebrities. And so far, I've got one response, and it was in the affirmative. And I'm not gonna tell you who we're gonna have on. Not gonna tell you who. You all know him. You all love him. But I think we're gonna have internet celebrity asshole consulting, and that'll be kind of fun. I will, of course, answer your questions in the super chat or in the asshole consulting, either one, as long as there's money. But I was going to kind of I wanted to get one more try. This would be the third time. We had Elkins on. Then who did I have? We had Adam Piggott on, although I threw that on the older brother channel. I was going to have John Steele, but he's probably busy. Bacon Maldito. Any chance of Cappy versus the Scorpions round 2? Well, that's always a continuing battle. It's always but the Scorpions, they hibernate. It's wintertime. They're not fall. They look for a place to kind of lay down for the winter. So fall's the time you got to get your defenses up and lay down the boric acid perimeter. You got to spray one last time. It's a weekly, I said weekly, certainly a monthly battle during summer because they're active at night then. It's a nightly battle. You got to go out, kill them, spray, which is meditative. I won't lie. Kind of was, my dauber was down when I found out there weren't any scorpions out in the back. I was kind of like, oh, I even got to the point where I was going to capitalize on them. I got a resin kit. Like you could put them in resin. I get the long tongs and put them in resin. I was going to give them to my nieces. And I thought, and then there were none this last time. It was late fall. I went. And so I was kind of like, oh, my adversaries, it's like that episode in Batman where Batman fakes his death and the Joker gets all depressed because he has no adversary. There's no reason to live. It's kind of like that. I went back out this last time and there were no scorpions. I'm like, oh, weren't even in the house. They didn't have the decency to come in the house. Didn't have the decency to come in the house, which means I was only too good of a scorpion hunter. But spring, once it starts getting warm again in spring, not even late spring, mid-spring, once the rocks heat up enough, that's what they come out at night. They go doing their foraging. They look and they kill at night. They're night stalkers. Kind of like East Indian students come over looking for blonde. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. They stalk during the daytime. No, I'm joking. One of my best friends is East Indian. And yes, that does prevent me from being racist against the East Indians. But then they come out late spring, and that's when you got to go back to time because they come out at night because the rocks still retain some heat. So you always find them on rocks. Very bad idea to go hiking and rock climbing at night in Vegas or Arizona. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. I know you guys all like, oddly enough, we got a listener of all places in Iran. I'll say hello to him because he's kind of an interesting fellow. He goes hiking and he says, oddly enough, I found your stories about scorpion hunting very interesting and meditative. Well, I hike in Iran. I'm like, holy shit. And then other people say, yeah, the scorpion thing was really interesting. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was just the foremost thing on my mind. But could you add timestamps on the description? Fernando Covet. Like if in the description below. I could. I probably should. That's a good recommendation there, Fernando. I have been kind of taking notes just when it is. But I email people. So if you're the client, I email you. I say, hey, your question comes in here at this time. So at minimum, the client knows. But yeah, I suppose I could put that in for the audience. I gotta write it down anyway. And it'd be a good thing to just jot it down. But yeah, no, that's good. I will have to do that. Let me go through the list. That's good to go. Yeah, I don't think John's coming in. All right. That's enough for that. Elkins said he'd come in, but he's busy working out. We all know Elkins doesn't work out. He runs. He doesn't lift the weight. He does. I'm just busting his butt. He had to go look pretty. I say, hey, Chad, you want to be the back? I'm like, oh, I'm busy working out. I'm like, oh, it's too busy being pretty, huh? Let's go to this, and maybe someday someone will get in here. I do want to. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I want to get the advertisers out of the way. Okay, serious stuff. Because without advertisers, the show don't go on. And it's Christmas time. And basically, we got to do all your shopping now to have it delivered, to wrap it up, to give it to people you care about. So here's the sponsors, and I would very much appreciate it. They very much appreciate it if their product and services were of benefit for you, that you would buy. We have the Pence Principle. Actually, we have it right here. I got all these books here, including Randall's. The Pence Principle, all lessons all men must learn from Ford Kavanaugh. Great gift for any young man who has hit puberty or is about to hit puberty, you know, because sadly it has come to that point that when a boy turns 13, you have to tell him, hey, you know, anything you do now, 40 years from now, it might be construed as rape, and you'll be falsely accused of it. So let's get you a body cam. How sad is that? Like on Amazon, they do like a combination. You'll see this, and next to it, you can get the Pence Principle plus a body cam for just $25.95. It's sadly coming to that. Overton's window is moving way too quickly.
Yeah, I have my bedroom completely wide.
There we are. Hey, are you around?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. We can have you join in. What else? Then we got The Great Emu War. This is also available on Amazon. It is a story about how the Australian government failed after declaring war on an emu as an invasive species in Australia, and it is a lesson, a parable, in how the state can do nothing. That's written by a blogger called The Quintessentialist. You can find him at thequintessentialist.blogspot.com. And he also has a Teespring site, like kind of like an Etsy site where he sells T-shirts and mugs. You can go teespring.com/stores/Evans, EVANS, Evans, the name -author, as in the profession, not the name author, but author, as in what does Aaron do? I guess he's an author. The promo code is Aaron. That's spelled AARON. That's good. Towards the end of the year, you get a 10% discount on all this stuff. We have Arrowhead watch boxes. Go to arrowheadwatchboxes.com. If you want to get a very nice watch box for anyone who happens to have watches, and you want them stored, or jewelry. It also works as a very nice jewelry case. Makes mom and dad very happy for Christmas. Seth Himes' outfit, indemandcareer.com. This is very serious. If you are looking for a job, check that out. He has basically an online class that teaches you how to do digital marketing. And then I've only heard successes. This is not, hey, you too could be making $100,000. No, this is if you're smart enough, you know you don't want to go to college, but you want to do something more than just general labor. And it's dirt cheap, right? It's dirt cheap. You can take his classes in demandcareer.com and learn digital marketing. And then on the low end, I've heard people making $30,000 part-time. On the high end, $80,000 full-time. That guy has gotten people out of poverty. So check that out if you want to know what. Hey, look, Christmas break. You guys are doing your final papers or your final exams and realizing, oh my God, this college shit sucks and I'm not going to get a job. Well, why don't you, over the course of your Christmas break, learn some digital marketing and then cancel your classes for next semester, go actually make some money. Ridge Wallet, ridgewallet.com. I have it here. You can see this. It has that titanium burn. It is a very minimalistic wallet. You push it out like that. You put your credit cards. It's got some give. I'm trying to pull it open there. I can't. Well, it did work beforehand. Never mind. It's got a clip, money clip, CD, RFID proof. Go ahead, go to ridgewallet.com. Get that for dad. Better than a tie. And then we take a wild guess of the next title of our sponsor here, John.
Got me, brother. I don't know.
It's a problem you and I have. I'm glad this book came out. It's called The Complications of a Large Penis.
Yeah, there are issues with it.
There's issues with that. And I'm not joking. It is a book, but even the author has admitted it's a joke. It's a lark. It's something you put on the coffee table or at your bachelor pad bar. And then people say, oh my God, what's that? So you could search. There's not that many other books with a similar title. But if you search on Amazon, The Complications of a Large Penis, you could find that. I think it is only available in paperback because I don't know why you would have it on Kindle. I don't even think there's anything in the book. I think it's just a cover and some pages. I don't think so. Let me check. Because usually you can, let's take a look at it. Usually there's like you can review it, or not review it, you can kind of view a couple pages. There's a picture dedicated to me. That's it. There's not there. There is nothing. There's no. It's all empty pages.
That's a brilliant idea, man.
Kind of like those books, The Successes of Communism. Have you ever seen those books?
Yeah, or the other one, Great Jewish Sports Legends.
Yeah. And so you're like, oh, hey, wait, there's just nothing. And the covers are very ornate, like Successes of Socialism or whatever it's called. And there's a picture of Marx and everything, and all the communist countries' flags. And you open, it's like just blank page after blank page after blank page. I'm envious because I wish I figured that one out, because I probably would have made a lot of money for very little work. Oh, and then OrionsColdFire.com. Check out OrionsColdFire.com for some writing and political commentary. But more importantly, when you're done and you're sick and tired of politics, go to that site, because he's also a photographer. And he has some very nice pictures up. He adventures across the country like me. And unlike me, taking like, yeah, here's your fucking picture, you assholes. Yeah, I did climb the mountain. He actually has a real camera and a tripod, and it's very professional. And the pictures are a lot nicer than mine. So you can go to OrionsColdFire.com. Another book out, Obama is Afraid of Cheryl Atkinson. You could find that on Amazon.com as well. That is a reference book, is really what it is, where he documents all of Barack Obama's, you could say, illegal activities, or where he just violated the Constitution, or stuff that politicians shouldn't do. It's not a terribly exciting book, but it is a good documentation book. So if everyone ever says, oh, yeah, what did Obama do? Name one thing. And like, plop, here's a book. Well, where would you like me to start? And it's there. AcademicComposition.com. Speaking of avoiding college, if you're in college right now and it's final season and you got to write a paper on why white people suck, or why capitalism is evil, or why the transsexuality of intersectional dynamics of feminist poetry should give you more money. If you don't want to write that, why don't you hire Alex and his team of writing staff at academiccomposition.com. They will write all your college papers for you. And if you're looking to make a little bit of scratch, why don't you go work for Academic Composition? Go to academiccomposition.com. Alex is always looking to hire writers and marketers, neither of which is very exciting, but it pays, and you can do it in your pajamas while drinking coffee from the comforts of your own home. And then finally, if you are looking to get gold or silver, which makes a great Christmas gift, by the way, that's a great Christmas gift, especially for little nieces and nephews. You give them a silver dollar. They think it's $1 billion because you're the greatest uncle in the world. Call up my buddy Mike at 763-657-7843. That's 763-657-7843. Mike will deliver silver and or gold insured across the country. Or you just go mngoldbuyer.com. That's the abbreviation for Minnesota, goldbuyer.com. And that's it. That's all the sponsors. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well. Been busy last couple of weeks, but I'm not complaining about it. Enjoying it. Good. You getting work in, or is it fun stuff? It's work, but it's that good feeling when you're accomplishing stuff. No. I'm finally. This is the final round of asshole consulting questions I've had. Well, you know how it goes. Everybody sees the final product. No one sees the behind the scenes making of, or setting up this or setting up that, or driving or getting equipment and all that. And I'm finally going to be caught up with asshole consulting, bar two unique requests that I have that I kind of got to basically do on my own. But I've been launching all these new testing and new projects and new products, and now they're finally cured and culminated, and now I can put them online. So we're kind of good to go, and things will kind of get back to normal. Are you is it seasonal work that you're doing, or what? Well, kind of year-end stuff, and I'm project managing a retrofit of a large multifamily building. So. Oh, good Lord. That's serious. Yeah. You could actually, I'm glad you have that experience. I got a question along that lines. Are you ready to do celebrity guest asshole consulting? I am. Okay, cool. Fuck the audience. This is just so Aaron can save time podcasting. That's what this is. Hello, Aaron. Keep me anonymous. Return customer here. My goal by next year is to live the digital nomad lifestyle. I'm a 30-year-old male working remotely as a software developer for a medium-sized company. I've been employed at the company for a few months and have received positive feedback from my manager. My manager said he doesn't care where I live as long as I get my work done.
though I'm not sure if this applies internationally. One problem I can imagine is the drastic time zone differences in European and Asian countries, but I'd be willing to work it out somehow to attend company meetings on time. Because of this reason, I feel that it would be a good idea to start nomading in various North American cities until I feel comfortable working in different time zones. I could use my family's house in Texas as a home base, since I don't pay rent there, can store my belongings, and won't pay state income tax while traveling. So far, it sounds good to me. I can't see any problems with it. How can I convince my employer to work remotely outside the U.S.? What could I do to better prepare myself for digital nomadism? How much money should I save before making the leap? Also, are there any challenges I would face dating foreign women if I'm spending up to 3 months in one country, or however long I could stay as a tourist? For some reason, I had far more success in dating foreign women than American women. It would be a dream to find a nice, traditional, non-feminist girlfriend like a big-ass Latina or a slim, petite Asian. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Why are you going after big-ass Latinas, but then you want a slim, petite Asian?
Well, because they don't make slim, petite Latinas.
Wait, but then why does he want a big-ass Latina? I mean, I know that's the only... There's small-ass Latinas.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess he's just kind of playing into the stereotypes, basically, they got that base, the Latinas, and then you got the Asian women. They kind of got the less Rubenesque figure. They
basically got an intersection of leg is what Asian chicks have. There really is no ass. It's like this intersection at like point of singularity. It has no actual physical mass or volume. It's like a black hole. It's just very, very tight and dense.
I'm not into the Asian women myself. I think a lot of black guys dig Asian chicks.
You think so?
Yeah, well, that's what I remember watching that film Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood, and there was a scene where the black guys are hitting on the very crudely hitting on the Asian girl, and she goes, "Oh, gee, another Afro with an Asian fetish. What a surprise!"
I don't know. Maybe I haven't really paid attention. I mean, you gotta suss out all what the media is telling us, because if you watch the media or whatever, it's like every black guy's drilling a white blonde. And there are no same-sex, or not same-sex, there are no same-race couples anymore. Everything's interracial. I mean, if you go to Target, there's not a white couple. It's always mixed race of some kind. The children are all mixed race. So I don't know if that's true.
No, the left-handed people, obviously. I actually saw a video on that. The left-handed people are behind that. So
the left-handed people?
Yeah. That's what they're called now.
Oh, the left-handed people. Well, they lean to the left. Either is fine by me. I hit the gym hard and take care of myself with rigorous routine and balanced diet. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Regards. And we won't mention his name. Let's take these one at a time. Well, I asked him a question here. I said, well, here's a simple question. Did you ask your boss if you can work overseas? And he responded, no, I have not asked my boss if I can work overseas. I feel that I need to gain more experience at the company before working overseas. I was like, oh, okay, because I was thinking that may be the quick solution.
Yeah, because if it's a firm no, then, well,
Yeah, then you don't have to pay this asshole $35 to answer this one question.
Well, I think that, I mean, if he's going to be doing the digital nomad thing in the U.S., I don't see why an employer would have an objection with it. That if you're getting your work done, usually they don't care.
Yeah, it sounds more like a policy issue. Like your boss says, as long as you get your work done, he doesn't care where you're working. So that would indicate to me that means anywhere in the world. And here's another thing. How is he going to tell? Like if you're working from home, how does he know you're at home versus Paris, France? No, seriously, unless he's going to do like an IP traceback or something, or have some hacker ping your IP, or hey, wait a minute, look, in the details when you send an email, this came from Brazil. What's he doing there? Well, fuck that shit. I don't think, what I'm trying to say is I don't think he should fear asking his boss, like, so I can work from anywhere. Like if I went to Paris and I stayed up, you wouldn't, as long as the work gets done and I'm making meetings, you don't care. He sounds like the guy that would agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't see why this is an issue. I know more and more people are doing it. I actually have a neighbor of mine that does 90% of his work teleconference. He does actually have to go into the office sometimes, but that's the nature of his work that does require that, where he actually has to physically go to an office. But if this guy does it, I don't really see. I mean, yes, the guy's totally fine with it. What difference would it make where you are? I mean, that would just be whether or not you would wake up on time. Yeah. But the other question I would have is, like, depending on where you go in the world, how will they just let you stay there for indefinitely? Like, I mean, there's tourist fees, there's restrictions on things like that.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. Let's just answer the first question here first. Right now, he has a very enviable job. His boss said, I don't care where you work as long as you get your work done. So let's just assume this boss assumed that meant the United States. So it's like one in the hand, two in the bush. Like right now, you could travel where the hell you want in the United States. You get to work location independently. That's a pretty great setup. I would not risk it by then not telling my boss I'm going to Tokyo. And then my boss asked me, hey, what are you doing in Tokyo? What I would do, since you got a good thing going here, just go up to your boss, say, hey, when you said I could work anywhere, does that mean like I could be in Japan? You know, like if I wanted to travel, as long as I'm waking up and getting the work done and making meetings, I mean, truly, I mean, or do you need me to be within the United States? And then your boss would know, because what I would hate to have happen is you just assume he means literally anywhere. You go to whatever, Kazakhstan, a goat trips over the internet cable, you miss a meeting, and then he find, what the fuck are you doing in Kazakhstan? I didn't say you could go there. And now you're, oh, I want you to come into the office regularly now. And so you fuck it up. So play it straight, ask your boss, confirm, and that should solve that issue.
And I'm assuming this is a young guy, right?
30. He's 30 years old.
Oh, he's 30. Okay, well. Yeah, I mean, you know, going overseas, unless he has some experience there, might be a bit of a culture shock. I don't know how much traveling this guy's done. So that could kind of be iffy, because you kind of want to do some recon, as you know, when you make those kind of big moves. So, you know, I would say wherever you're going to do, you want to try to do some recon before you get there, as, you know, read your other book on that.
Yeah. Although reconnaissance ban is only applied to the U.S. What I'd strongly recommend, first, research the hell out of it. You know, say you want to go to Poland. Well, okay, research it. Find out what expats are saying. There's expat discussion groups and community boards all over the place about every country that you could possibly find. You want to time it with weather. Like I go to Poland during summer. I would not go during winter. And then I'd hit up some colleagues we got. You know, contact Matt Forney. You know, if you want to know about Central Europe, he'll tell you about it. He'll tell you about traveling. He'll tell you about the Philippines. Contact Roosh, although Roosh is pretty busy. I mean, read any of his. He has multiple books out there on different countries. I mean, a lot of it is geared towards dating and scoring with chicks, but there's also some sociological, cultural commentary in those books as well. But I would do as much research as you can on the internet, and then once you find like a top 3, I would spend maybe no more than 2 weeks exploring each area, because you don't want to go for 3 months. Go for like a 2-week visa. Get used to traveling over long distances and flying overseas and stuff like that. Just do some dry runs. And then once you find a place like, wow, I could be here, yeah, then get yourself, I think the longest is a 6-month visa. I don't know if it was Roosh or Matt talking about how they had to go into another country.
Yeah, it's 90 days. That you only can be there for 90 days contiguously.
Okay. So yeah, I would read up on that, and obviously research the visa laws. But I would not be staying 3 months. Like I wouldn't go into a place cold for 3 months. Like, oh yeah, I got my Airbnb for 3 months, and then you find out you're allergic to monkeys, and now you're in Thailand and there's nothing but monkeys running around. I don't know. You go to India and you don't like curry, or you're allergic to curry. Like, oh shit, now you got to eat grass. I mean, just test the waters first before committing that much. And then how much money should he save up before making the leap? Well, he's making money, right?
Well, it sounds like he doesn't really have any. What about the whole Texas deal where he can live there rent free? What about that? I mean, well,
yeah, but that'd be his base. He absolutely should headquarter himself in Texas, become a citizen, because then he doesn't pay any state income tax. And then what little belongings he has, he can leave it with his folks. And then he can take off and split town. And I mean, he's in the ideal situation to just go and reconnoiter the entire world. So I would definitely say become a citizen of Texas if you're not already. Leave your crap with your folks. Pack your travel light. That's another thing. I mean, travel light. Travel with only what you need, so you could be mobile as hell. You know, be able to connect with work, have your electronics in your gear, have some underwear and socks, but that's it. I would be your main job will be your daytime job, but then a very close second would be just to explore the hell out of wherever you're going. So I would not be bringing furniture or whatever else you think you must bring. And then, yeah, the amount of money, I don't think you're going to need that much money. Maybe $2,000 in addition to what it's going to cost to the flight and lodging, because he's not going to be charged rent at his folks' place. He's making money as a software developer. He's going to go probably to a second or third world country where the rent's going to be a lot cheaper than if he was living in the States. So aside from the travel costs, I think his living expenses are actually going to be lower. I mean, he's almost got the enviable position of generating a first world income with second or third world expenses. So the finances, I'm not terribly worried about. Like, enough money that if the shit hits the fan, you can get yourself a plane and fly out. You know, like maybe $3,000, I guess, whatever an immediate flight out of Bangkok would cost.
I don't even think it would be that much. But I think, you know, you could Airbnb it like for a week at each one of these, you know, major cities in each country. Like, you know, maybe a week in Warsaw, a week in Budapest, you know, that kind of a thing. That's what, you know, and I'm pretty sure the airfares are relative. Oh, actually, this whole rail, you can travel everywhere by rail in those countries. Oh. So that's what I would recommend this guy does. And I would suggest to him, unless he has some fetish for like the French language or you know, or wants to be around, or he's some sort of Anglophile, stay out of France and England.
Yeah, old Europe, I had no interest in. I mean, there's some nice places, but I could do without old Europe ever again.
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend going there. If you're going to go to Europe, go to Central or Eastern Europe. It's very developed now, and from what I understand, that like Matt Forney and stuff, that it's traveled extensively in Poland and Hungary and a few other places. Everybody 30 and under speaks English.
Yeah, that's another benefit. I remember when I was younger, it was like, oh, you better learn the language, and now it's just like you can go there and maybe they're not perfectly fluent, but you can get by speaking English. It's largely becoming the standardized world language out there now.
Yeah, and all the large cities, you know, they'll speak it. So that's not an issue. If there are people within your age range, they're all going to speak it. If you're only, you know, he's 30 years old, everyone, you know, his age, they're all going to speak English.
Yeah. And then the final question, also, are there any challenges I would face dating foreign women? I'm spending up to 3 months in one country, or however long I could stay as a tourist. For some reason, I've had far more success in dating foreign women than American women. It would be a dream to find a nice traditional non-feminist girlfriend, like a big-ass Latina or slim petite. I think you know what it is with that, with the big-ass Latina or the slim petite Asian. I think it's like pairing of wines with the appropriate food. You can't have a small-ass Latina. That's like drinking white wine with a steak. And a large-ass Asian, that would be like having, I don't know, rumple.
Well, that'd be like halibut with like a hard Cabernet or something like that.
Yeah, you just don't do it. It just isn't done. Either is fine by me. Hit the gym, take care of myself. All right, I'm gonna assume he's a good-looking guy. He's not some nerd. The only challenge is, now keep in mind, I never got into the overseas dating thing or mail order bride stuff. My only experience has been dating them when they're here and they're foreigners, or watching colleagues or friends of mine get mail order brides and then having their lives completely fucked up and destroyed by the money-grubbing whores that they are. So there's nothing. You're going to, again, have to talk to like Rouge or Forney. Andrew Henderson is another one at nomadcapitalist.com. Check him out. Although he focuses more on the finances of things, not really the social activities. In general, the poorer the country, the more traditional the women are. You could go to Sweden, you could go to Denmark, any of the Scandinavian countries, the United Kingdom, and you're going to be dealing with basically Americanized, westernized women. They're not going to be traditional. If you go Central Europe, where they had the Soviet Union and they had the feminist dream come true of communism, maybe not this younger generation remembers it because they weren't alive, but their parents and some of their older siblings remember it. And they're still a little bit anti-state pro individual, pro family, pro tradition. The
also,
Asian,
the smaller the city, Aaron, too. That was one thing that Matt pointed out to me. Is like Budapest, for example, has become very westernized, and Roosh has talked about Warsaw the same. So if you want the traditional things, you want to go to more of the smaller type cities. But if he's like a big city, if he grew up in a big city, that might not appeal to him.
Or a big city too. Yeah. I hate to say it. I mean, that door is closing where overseas they were traditional, and that's in part because of the internet, because of economic growth. It is spreading to where women are becoming more Americanized, and they're not going to be traditional. I mean, that's even happening in Latin American countries, East India. That's happening, and feminism is big over there. So maybe go now before the doors close. Maybe you can find yourself a nice traditional girl. But the warning I would have about that is, especially like in the Ukraine or Belarus or what was it? Not the Philippines. It was another Asian country, not Japan or China, not the two largest, but where it was just
Thailand?
Maybe Thailand. I don't think it was Thailand. It was some other place. Maybe it was Vietnam. These women are just looking to get out of their shithole. They're looking for a green card. That's where you really got to worry about, especially if it's like foreignbride.com, where you're essentially just buying a bride. Don't be surprised if it's going to be that literal of a business exchange, that they're going to view you in terms of financial and economic resources. Because I have a friend of mine who's now on his third mail order bride, and every fucking time, once the 4 or 3 years comes up that they get their green card, they divorce his ass. They've been fucking several other guys on the side. 2 have brought kids that they failed to mention over to the United States. I'm like, do you do any background checking on these women at all? There are conscious, purposed scams happening. That's typically more for former Soviet Empire. In the Asian countries, what you're going to run into more commonly is, yes, you'll have probably a traditional wife. Yes, she may want to get married and not going to be as prone to divorce and get the green card. But the culture there is, you're the pretty young daughter. You go to the United States, get us money. And you're always asked to send money back home. You're always asked to send money back home. You're always asked to send money back home. Middle Eastern is the same there. I had a buddy who dated a girl who's Egyptian, and they were, quote, engaged. And she's always asking for money. But you're my fiance. I need money for a cell phone so I could keep talking to you. It's like, what cell phone costs $500 a month? Like, what luxurious cell phone package is that? So you're doing a good thing in going overseas. It's when you do it over the internet. Like, you're actually over there. You're on their turf. It's an away game. So they're not here getting influenced as much. And you could kind of see them in their natural habitat and environment. I'm certainly for you dating foreign women. That's frankly all you're going to have a choice to date over there, because you will be in a foreign land. But don't think that's the panacea and the solution to everything. And you're going to find some, Audrey Hepburn-esque, or who's the other one? She's very motherly, wifey, housekeeping material. She's not particularly sexy or pretty. But she's like a 6. Ingrid Bergman, that's the one. She's a solid 6.5. Ingrid Bergman. Don't think you're gonna find a wife like that over there. Just go date and have fun. And I don't know. I'm having a hard time even advising men to get married now, because I wrote a piece about it before I started the show here.
Unless you're dead set on having children, yeah, I don't see any reason to marry.
Yeah. I know all you guys have the genetics screaming you to go get married and have kids or bang a lot of women, and all you guys, it's not on the menu. It may be this generation and the next that it's just not on the menu. But your chances are best overseas, I would say. But do be warned that there are huge ulterior incentives and motives women overseas have to dating and acting like they like an American guy. Is really... that'd be the only warning I got. So, anything else there, John?
No, that's it for this guy.
Okay, cool. Let me go through the super chats, see if we got any more. No. Last time I let the super chats go so far that I couldn't scroll up anymore, and someone had paid $5, and I felt bad because I didn't answer it. because I had let it go. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Here's a weird one. You want to handle a weird one?
Why not?
Okay. This is from a guy, Fish Taco. He put together a spoofy video rap called Fish Taco. Not to sound crude or crass, but it was about how he ain't going to go down on a girl if it smells like a fish taco. And he paid. So, whatever the hell, this is going to save me time. Hey, Aaron, I got a new project coming in and need some advice. Fish Taco was a success, and it opened many doors for me as an entrepreneur. I now make 3 times more money implementing music marketing campaigns for artists than shooting music videos. With this new success, I have a ton of free time as it only takes 5 minutes to set up campaigns, and the rest is automated using a system I program myself to push music to audiences. However, with my new success and my new project, Roasty, releasing soon, many people from my old life are forcing their way back in. I'm going to stop right here. Stop right here. Yeah. John, you go ahead and field this one because I know exactly what I'm going to say.
There's a word for that. We call them parasites.
I thought there was going to be a sports reference or something in there.
That will happen. You'll notice these people want to mooch off you. There's a couple of things that happen when you get success, especially if it comes on very suddenly. You will get kind of, flack better word, almost groupies. Surrounding you.
Entourages, I think, is what it is.
Yes. So you get these hangers, and also there's people that are hangers on, things like that, and they're gonna, and some of them might not necessarily have nefarious intentions. Many will, but you got to learn to have proper boundaries. From a psychological standpoint, keep them at arm's length. All relationships need to be symbiotic, meaning that you're getting as much out of it as they're getting out of it. And if you have a relationship that doesn't work that way, any sort of relationship, with the exception of maybe children or, get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can handle just relationships in general.
And I mention this because this is germane to the topic. The gentleman is black, and this is a problem that men in the black community, although women too, but predominantly men in the black community have, where they will become successful. They'll have a rap album go, or they'll become a more commonly as the athletes, like they'll get drafted into the pros. Or you just busted your ass off, became a good engineer, joined the military, whatever. Then everybody's out there asking to borrow money. Everyone's your best friend. And it even got to the point, I forgot who it was. There was a guy that got drafted. Here's the thing. The guy did all the work. Do you know what it takes to become a professional NFL football player to get drafted? Do you know the amount of dedication that takes?
A huge amount of dedication. Yeah.
I'm not going to put forth that effort. These guys bust their asses off since like grade school, essentially. They hit the gym, they diet, they go out, they get sacked, their bodies take a pounding. And that's before they even get to the NFL. This is high school and college. Then they get to the NFL, and someone was saying like, hey, you know what? You ought to give back to the community you came from. It's like, what? Did the community go to the gym 4 hours a day? Did the community bust their asses off and take sacks after hits, after clothesline? I'm sorry, I didn't see the community doing sprints with weights attached to my waist. And I just was like, how dare you think you're entitled to this man's sacrifice and labor? And so there is this expectation. It doesn't just happen in the black community. Anyone who wins the lottery, regardless of your race, also you got buddies and friends. But this is very seen, very prominent, notorious to happen in the black community, where somebody, quote, makes it. And not only like, hey, I'm your buddy, but hey, you owe us. And I've seen it a lot. Like, you owe your mother. What the fuck do I owe my mother for? She just spat me out. What the fuck is that? What? No, and I know people are like, oh, blood's thicker than water. It's like, the fuck it is. Mom wasn't lifting the weights. Mom wasn't running the 100-meter dash. And it's like, no, this is me, and maybe I'll buy mom a house or something. But there's this expectation that if anybody succeeds, the commune is entitled to that person's success. So this is the same thing here. And we'll go on. But that just to preface it, this is what we can expect. These people include former high school teachers. And see, even parents, the adults want to get on it. These people include former high school teachers, students, family members, girls I talk to, and video clients. These people have come to my apartment pretending to be police officers, health department agents, and have showed up to my grocery store and stared at me. These are bad tactics. I have damning proof against many of them that show stalker intentions backed up on hard drives and clouds. How should I handle this? I would like a video to be made. As many people who become successful without any debt or owing anyone don't know how to handle these types of people. Most people in Hollywood owe many favors to people who help them. I do not. I did everything myself. And now people who never supported me or betrayed me are trying to get a handout or use me for their agenda. Yeah, you got the money. I have a local audience of young females, 13 to 24 years old, ranging in the thousands. So no wonder it's why these types would love to use me for their political or educational agendas. Oh, that's his audience. He's got females between 13 and 24. That's like when they're most powerful. You could not have a more powerful audience than that.
We gotta handle this one carefully now, because if you anger a girl, what are some of her options for revenge?
Well, let me tell you about this fancy book I got here called "How Not to Get Accused Falsely of Rape."
That might be. I think that book would be very apt for this gentleman, this client of yours.
Right. Or what is it? Pedophile charges or underage. What's it called?
Anything like that. You'll never be alone with. I would say just don't never be alone with the woman. Without the door opened, and you're gonna have to watch that. Unfortunately, I mean that's just the world we live in. It sucks, I know, but that's what it's come to.
I would also say he's very wise to have video. He's very wise. This guy should get a body cam. But what I would do is I would move. I'd get an anonymous address. I'd be it so these people cannot physically find you. The audience, if you have any groupies in your audience that contact you, have everything recorded. I mean, don't talk to your groupies if you can avoid it. But I'd imagine you have to interact somehow. But yeah, you have everything recorded, video, especially talking to your fans, but dealing with all the people. See, the problem is the easiest solution. It's too late for the client now. The easiest solution is that if you become successful, you don't let people know. Like the last thing I would do is if I won the lottery is let anyone know. If I ever made money, I wouldn't let anyone know, because
except my attorney, because he's bound by client privilege not to reveal it. But
right. I'd let Chad Elkins, my CPA, know. I'd let my attorney know, and that'd be it. I don't even know if I'd let the GF know. Oh dear, McDonald's again. We can't go until we got a coupon. Did you cut out a coupon? Okay, we can get the dollar menu tonight, sweetheart. I'm serious, and now that I think about it, if I was married or had a wife that was not my current GF, like for you regular people out there with your regular wives, they're like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. I wouldn't tell my wife. I wouldn't tell my girlfriend that I made money. I wouldn't. I would just, oh yeah, business is all right. Yep. Ooh, no, I don't. It's always good once a week to say, I don't know if we could afford it, babe. I don't. Let's stay in. I don't think we could afford it. I don't know if I could afford that level of scotch. Why don't you have a whiskey instead? Let them think you don't have the money, and then these problems would never occur. But now the cat's out of the bag on this one. I would be, if you got people stalking you or showing up in your neighborhood, but you have this kind of money, and it's online. If this is online, dude, you could go anywhere. You can live anywhere and be left alone. The only thing that might be a drawback to this is you obviously have roots and you do have good people. You do have good family. But I would maybe stay in contact with those people. But yeah, if you got people physically visiting where you shop, I'd be getting out of Dodge. I'd be like, yeah. And I wouldn't tell anyone where I'm going. And I don't care if that's your mom. If your mom is coming out, that's one thing that really pisses me off about some of the clients that get young black men, is how their moms are just like, one guy recently, his parents would take his money. He's working. He's trying to go to school. Parents take his money when he works. It's like, what the fuck? I had another girl, unfortunately, where her mom was using the girl's social security number to get credit cards and ruin her daughter's credit in the process. I think the daughter's like 18 or 19 or something like that. It doesn't matter how close the family is in blood. It's how have they been treating you. So I would be, plotting an escape You don't tell anyone. You don't even tell like, hey, it's trust. I mean, you may have a good friend who's now a really good friend. You know, you can't tell them where you live. Like, yeah, I'll meet you later, you know, and or I'll meet you over here. And yeah, just I'm trying to think what else. Phone number, maybe change your phone number too, you know, so people, you know, have a phone that you only use to contact people in your inner circle. That's what I would be doing. And then any business dealings with girls, period. I was going to say 13 to 24-year-olds, but it doesn't matter what age they are nowadays. Any interactions you have with them, and if they know who you are and you're doing business, you film that shit. I don't know. I'm going to assume he's in California. I could be wrong. But whatever the laws are there, find out what the laws are where you either have to inform them or you don't have to inform them. It's just good to have a camera right there and say, by the way, I'm recording every conversation. You could have a sign in front of your office. I record all conversations. Save all emails, because the worst thing is you put in all this effort and you get Kavanaugh'd and some gal comes in and claims that you touched her boobs 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, what if this guy ends up really making it big, right?
Yeah.
And some, 5 years from now, some girl says, "Oh, you did this to me," and totally tries to destroy his career. Because this guy seems like he's on the ball. He seems smart. He seems like he got his niche market. I like this guy.
Yeah, well, you'll like this. P.S. Instead of burning my earnings, I've picked up a delivery gig that pays $25 per hour. I pretend to be an African immigrant and have gotten laid so many times being the delivery boy.
All right.
There you go. There you go, buddy.
Getting paid to get laid. I like
paid
this
to
guy.
Get laid. Now we know what it's like to be a woman. Hang on. That was true. That's why it was funny. That's all right. So we handled that one. Let's go back to the Insto chats. Hang on. There we go. See? We got 2, 3. See, this is why I got to stay. Hey, John, can you do me a huge favor and keep an eye on the chat room?
Yeah, I can. Which channel are you broadcasting this on, though?
I'm it's not Older Brother. This is on Aaron Clary, the Asshole Consulting channel.
Okay, yeah, then I'm all over it. All right.
Yeah. So go to that. We got Ryan Oakes. I'll do this while John's figuring it. Thoughts on career in HVAC? The BLS lists the median pay at $23 an hour and 15% job growth over the next 10 years. Well, let me tell you something about the Bureau of Labor Statistics job forecast predictions. They're worthless. They're completely worthless. And it's not me just saying that, but they actually retroactively applied the forecasts, and the BLS forecasts have no value. So
there's a reason why the two of the initials in the BLS are B and S.
Yes. Bureau of lots of shit. That may even be it. So I would not worry about job growth. The real thing that matters is what the median pay is and that's median, 23 an hour. That's not that good for median. That's like mid-career. It's not bad. It's a skill and a trade, but it's not that good. Now, HVAC sucks because you got to get up into the rafters, and it's hot, then it's cold. It could be muggy. It's a physically demanding job. But I'm going to tell you this about pretty much every type of carpentry type of trade, or any trade in general. If you can just show the fuck up on time and be sober and get the job done, you can make a lot of money. The real issue with the HVAC and the trades is you got a bunch of dumb fucking yokels out of Wyoming with their good Polaris jacket who show up drunk with their shitty ass goateed beard after they're done fucking their cousin, then they spat out a half sister. Who knows how the fucking math works on that? But people in Wisconsin, Wyoming figured it out. And then they'll show up, 2 hours late. They'll do half-ass job. That's a lot of the reason why these people are paid $23 an hour. If you show the fuck up on time and do your job right the first time, you can start commanding a salary. And the ideal world is you start hiring out other people and you just collect a commission. But then you got to hire the right people to do that. So I really like carpentry and the trades. If for any other reason, you could do your own work on your own house and save tens of thousands of dollars that way. You can flip houses. Investing in real estate becomes much more profitable when you can do your own sweat equity work. But if you're just going to mail it in and you're going to be the typical guy from rural Wisconsin, you're going to show up drunk and you're going to have your Dodge diesel Hemi truck that you can't afford. And here's a rule. If you have kids out of wedlock, don't go into the trades. Okay, don't even bother. Okay, if you're responsible enough to have kids within wedlock and not to become an alcoholic, then maybe you can go into the trades and you can make a lot more than 23 an hour. But I would, it's a real job. It's not a shortcut that so many people seem to think it is. Bacon Maldito again writes, hey, John, this is for you.
Okay.
Hey, John, love hearing you and the Cashew Gallery on Older Brother. Hopefully Cappy brings you guys back. Still suffering in Seattle, he asks. Are you suffering in Seattle?
I'm still suffering in Seattle, but you know what? It's gotten cold. It's December now, so the uglies are not out on the street as much. There's just less people, so I don't get that visual assault as much every time I walk outside.
Yeah. What is the temp? I mean, it's cloudy and what upper 40s.
I think it's lower 40s. It's getting chilly. This is the coldest time. It is, I think, December here.
Okay. Yeah, we're still not at the worst. We're gonna drop down to 2 degrees in a couple days here, and Doc? He's already went through 3.5 cords of wood. It's been unseasonably cold. And I'm like, holy cow! So you had to add more ordered. But once January comes, I'm gone. The 24th, I'm out of here.
You don't
nope,
deal with that.
I don't do January or February. Nope, fuck that shit. And last year I came back early, not early, but I'm like, okay, I avoided January and February. I'm like, okay, I can handle March. And you get back and like, yeah, you can handle March, but why would you want to handle March? It's just as snowy. It's even more snowy. It's slushy. It's gray. It's shitty. And it's like, fuck it. So I'm coming back for a solid week and a half, and I'm flying back out to Vegas. And then I'll drive the truck back at the end of March because there's just no godly reason to be in this state in March. I'd imagine the sun starts coming out, snow melts in Seattle in March.
Well, actually, yeah. March is a very wet month. It's actually going down to 28 degrees tonight here.
Oh, that is pretty cold.
Yeah, it's like I said, this is our coldest month.
Right. I got a question. So does Seattle, the city, do they use salt or chemicals on the road, or is that too bad for the eco environment and all you guys got to slip around and kill yourselves because there's no traction on the road?
It's funny you say that. There was a storm several years ago, and they wouldn't use the salt because they were worried about it, getting into the water, because all the lakes and everything. And it was
there's not enough water or rain in Seattle; it would never wash away.
Well, that was the fear of it coming into Lake Washington. And anyway, so there was this big hoopla about it because there was so many accidents and so much of the city was shut down. Even emergency service units had trouble getting around. So now they're putting the fucking salt down. And, I make sure, like in the building we have a ton of it here in our storage unit. So, because I live on a very steep incline, the building I live in. So, yeah.
I remember going to Colorado and thinking, like, I knew this and I knew that. And the storm hit. I'm like, I'm okay. And then, thankfully, I was in a neighborhood and there was no one around. And something come up on a stop sign. I hit the brakes. Nothing happens. I just go right slided through it. I'm like, what the fuck? And so I started trying, and I asked my buddy, I'm like, do they treat the roads? He's like, oh, no, we don't use salt or chemicals here. I'm like, why in fuck's name not? Like, well, it's bad for the environment, or so they say. I'm like, yeah, so's crashing cars and sliding into kids. And manslaughter's bad for the environment, too. I'm sure when I crash my car and there's fluids and everything leaking into your drainage system, I'm sure that's not going to be good for the environment either. But my God, that's if you are moving to Denver, I know I'm very pro Denver, but if you're moving to Denver in general, be aware to get a really nice set of snow tires come wintertime because they don't treat the roads.
And learn how to put on chains.
Oh, that's so known. I don't think any city or state allows that anymore, do they?
Oh, I have them. We have them
here. Do you really?
Well, the pass in Washington State, you have to go over the Cascade Mountain Range to get from the east side to the west side of the state.
Sure, Chinook Pass and all that.
Certain times a year, they won't let you. It's illegal to be on the pass without chains.
Really?
Yeah, chains are required.
Okay. All right. I remember in the 70s, my dad putting on the chains. And it looked like just such an unthankful job because it was in the snow and it was cold. And you had to prop up one wheel and get it on. You had to lower it down. You had to jack up the other wheel, put it on, put it down. And I think
they have high-tech shit now, so it's not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, the tires today, and I'll give you an opposite story. I was driving to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is high up. I think it's like 7,000 feet. It's a pretty high town. And it got hit with just a little bit of a snow. Not a snowstorm, but snow. Regular snow. Maybe an inch or two. So I'm driving along. And I see way off in the distance just a ton of lights light up. Just a ton. and traffic is slowing down, and then all of a sudden it's stopping, and people are sliding all over the place. Well, I had my Kia with Minnesota winter tires on it, and I'm like, why is everyone? I'm like, oh, I bet you they're not used to getting snow here. And sure enough, I'm the only guy that had snow tires. So I go on to the shoulder, and I'm driving at a, not fast, but like 30 miles an hour, passing all these cars. Not only had a semi-truck jackknifed on my bound traffic, another semi-truck had been down the hill in the median with the eastbound, westbound lanes were quite far apart. I think it's Highway 40. A cop truck SUV had been flipped over with its lights on in the median. There was traffic jammed on the other side because the cops had tow trucks and everything. I'm like, holy shit. So I get to the jackknife part. I'm like, these cops don't give a shit if I go on. They got bigger fish to fry. So I go, here's the jackknife truck. I just drive around it, completely open, flying through Albuquerque, New Mexico. I come up on this guy. He had one of those low-jacked used Lexuses. You know how the kids spruce those up?
Yeah, yeah.
It had cold air intake and has the brat kind of exhaust. He's just spinning tires. He can't even get up this slight little incline. And here I go, just zooming past him in a Kia. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have racing tires in snowy areas. Just wondering. But, oh, well. Carlos writes, Cappy, what's the oldest chick you banged? It depends, like at the time or a percentage of my age. Well, no, that's a question. John, what's the oldest gal you banged?
The oldest gal I banged was,
I guess technically it would be my girlfriend because she's
38. 38.
But how old were you?
At that time, I think I was 38.
Okay, so you've never banged a gal older than you?
No, I did. When I was 30, when I was 29, I was dating a girl that was 33.
Okay, so wouldn't that be because she was 5? See, I need a metric.
Well, yeah, I didn't know what he meant by oldest, like oldest in years or oldest in different, older than me.
Yeah, because I'm
the oldest girl I was banged older than me was 4 years older.
Hang on, let me do some math. I think the oldest I banged 13 years. That's about right, 13. But here's the thing, we got to do percentages. What the hell? How do we want to do this? Okay, that's 1.4. Let me do another math. 20. What the hell was I? 24. No, I got to divide the other way around. That guy was 35. 24. Okay, yeah, I think this is the highest. As a percentage of my age at the time, the gal I banged that was the oldest was 146% my age. So I was 25 at the time. I think she was 35. But then the oldest gal I banged probably is my girlfriend, who was 41. No, wait. Yeah. God damn it. Now I got to go through all of them again. I'm just going to assume that because it's been a long time since playing the field. And as you get older, the nominally oldest woman you're going to bang is probably never going to be your wife because, you're 65. You're not going to chase after an 85-year-old. Just say, I want that. I want that cougar action.
Sean Connery has a great quote about older women. There's nothing wrong with an older woman for a younger man.
There's something wrong with an older man for a younger. Wait, I don't get it.
If you're a young man, if you're 20 years old and you're dating a woman that's 8 years older than you, she's only 28. That's fine.
Right.
So.
Oh, I see. But if you're 60 and you're dating a 68-year-old woman, that's yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think I'm gonna draw the line at gray pubes. I think that'll be the. I'm kind of like, nope, no gray pubes, no pruny boobs.
Boner killer.
That shit's going away. And there's like contracts. It's like, you're dyeing your hair. I'll dye my hair too. You're dyeing your hair. There's no gray. There's no freaking gray. No pruny boobs. That's it. No dumpy wrinkly ass either. Get that old man wrinkly butt. Ugh. Jeremy Jackson asked for $3. You said the Minnesota GOP is incompetent and you can fix. How? Well, let me count the ways. One, getting the GOP to steal the minority male vote. This would apply nationally on how to have the GOP win. I think there's such a war against men in general that, and men are so, we want women. That's the only thing we want. We want women. And when you convince any man, regardless of his race, but especially blacks and especially Latinos, just how much their women have abandoned them for a government check and a relationship with the state, I think the black and Latino community, among any other community, would kind of wake up and realize, holy shit, you know, I've just been voting for him because that's the way I've been told to vote, and Whitey's out to get me. But if you look at what the Democrat Party and the government has done to your women, you know, forget Whitey stealing your women from you. It ain't that. It's a government check stealing your women from you. And then consequently, your agency and purpose in life. I mean, okay, you're not going to have kids. You're not going to have a wife. Well, what the fuck are you going to do? Well, you know, unless you're John and me, okay, then maybe you got a career or something like that. But it really takes away the point and purpose of a guy's life if you take their women away from him. And so that's what I think the GOP should totally get into sexual politics and just start calling out feminism for the bullshit it is. Another thing I think that the GOP they essentially just have to grow some balls. One thing I recommend the GOP does locally here, but this could be done nationally, is you buy billboard space and start putting ads up there where you have a hot chick that say conservative girls and you have your ugly typical SJW shaved head obese piece of shit trash say Democrat girls, choose wisely. You could also go to college campuses, put up your liberal arts degrees are worthless, go STEM or go home, brought to you by the Republic. I mean, just mix up the fucking shit. The thing that the GOP doesn't have to worry about is it's a perennial loser. You're in one of the most leftist states. They always go left. And here they are. They're acting like gentlemen, like, oh yes, well we shall have a saber foil competition. It's like, will you guys grow a pair of fucking balls, go for broke, and just start? I mean, they got to grow teeth. So those are some ways, but you know, they're always this very polite, swipple, pussified, pansy, spineless, ballless, white dope. Oh, well, you know, I'm not a racist. I'm not a sexist. No, I care. I'm just thinking maybe we should have less Somali. No, I'm not. It's like, yeah, you know what? Get them the fuck out of here. We want wage gains to go to Minnesotans. There's nothing against Somalis. We don't need immigrants here. You know, someone to say, have a stand like that. I mean, you know, who knows? Even some women, maybe their wives might actually get wet for once. I don't know. Maybe the Democrat women might even get a little turned on if there are actually some masculine men. Because you take a look at the Democrat men, you take a look at the GOP men of Minnesota, they're all spineless pussy saps. So I don't know if there was a penis that walked into this state every once in a while and said, yeah, fuck that, we're not doing it. Oh, they might win it. They might win.
Yeah, I'd say just, you know, be a man.
Be a man. Fucking John Wayne up, walk in, you know, spank Marina Hara in the ass, and then get sued and thrown in jail. That's what remember, you know what's really funny is I've been watching some of The Saint with Roger Moore, and even some Mission Impossible. And it happened a lot in The Saint, and it's only, I think, happened twice in Mission Impossible, where a woman was getting out of hand, and then Roger Moore just spanks her in the ass, and she's like, oh, and then she tries to slap it. He grabs her hand and says, you needed that. And I'm just like, fucking hell. Fucking A. Or he'll spank her.
If you want some good movies on like how to, you know, act around, well, you know, I don't know, maybe now you go to jail for it, but the attitude, maybe not the actions. It's kind of, you know, like I think one of your favorite scenes from a movie, what is it, Dr. No or Goldfinger, where he smacks her on the ass and goes, man talk.
Yeah.
Sends her away. That kind of thing. Or another good film with a very masculine character, more modern, was the Pierce Brosnan's rendition of the Thomas Crown Affair.
I saw that with the gal who I thought was hot until I saw a modern picture, Renee Rousseau.
Yeah, well, you know, 20 years ago, she wasn't bad. I don't know what she looks like now.
Oh, she's a wreck. She's a wreck.
She's a wreck, and she was right on the. She was right. You know, she was inches from the wall when that film came out.
Right.
But she was. You know, they made her look as good as she could. But that film is good. Also, another film that Pierce Brosnan did. I like. He plays a little bit more sleazy guy, but same kind of attitude is The Tailor of Panama. It's also very funny too.
Oh, I'll write that down and watch it. Hang on, The Tailor of Panama?
Tailor of Panama. It's based on a novel by Jean Le Carré, who's one of my favorite. He wrote one of my favorite spy books.
Okay.
Well, I know you don't read those books, but anyway.
No, as long as they make it a movie, I'll watch that. I'll get on that right away. I won't watch Dr. Zhivago, or not Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Strangelove.
What's the
The Tailor of Panama? You'll really like that. That's funny. That's got a lot of big name actors. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it too.
Okay. No, what's the book, everyone? Dr. Strangelove. That's it, not Dr. Zhivago. Everyone wants me to watch Dr. Strangelove. We got a £2 donation, which is like almost $3 from Usama, but then he retracted it. He wanted to know if he should go into nursing in England. I think, like, yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing. My question with nursing is, okay, if you're going to go into nursing, why not become a doctor, and maybe not with the NHS, but become something, and I don't know what the equivalent would be over the United Kingdom, but a physician's assistant or a nurse practitioner, you know, some kind of specialist where you could command a decent salary, yet not have to go through all the pain and assery it is to become a doctor.
PAs are a good thing to go into now because they are. I had a hospital stay a couple of years ago, and I swear to God, I saw the doctor for a total of 15 minutes. Everything was nurses and the PA, and the PAs don't have to do any of the ugly work. Mm-hmm. And it's a hell of a lot less schooling than becoming a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got a buddy.
But again, I don't know how that works in England. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's not like standardized like a military, like, oh, a captain is a captain, a colonel is a colonel, a major is a major. Over there, I mean, there's doctor, but then I don't know what a nurse does. I know here it's like nursing assistant, nurse, specialist, then nurse practitioner, and then physician's assistant is something completely different. And then you got other specialties you could do. Maybe you could consider this like a radiologist, sonographer. We had a conversation about that a couple days ago. It's like
in nursing, I have dated a lot of nurses, and it's not like a fetish. It's because the building across from me is where the traveling nurses are. You know, those nurses that they travel around the country and they work 3 12-hour shifts. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
I saw a lot of South Korea had, because when I worked security, we'd watch over prisoners when they were getting surgery or they were sick, and like a fleet. What do you call a group of nurses? A squadron of nurses. I don't know, a bunch of a squadron. Let's go with squadron. That sounds cool. A squadron of nurses from South Korea would come in, and I think they're trying to get work experience in the United States, or maybe there was a labor shortage or whatever. And and then you're kind of like, oh, there's a lot of Asian nurses here. And then morning would come, the morning shift would, and then it was funny. Let me ask you this about with the nurses. I'm going to presume you dated younger, hotter nurses, not the old nurses.
I did, yeah. This was all in my 20s. I did this.
Yeah. What's kind of funny is working security working hospital round the shift anytime. You could totally see like who that seniority rules there, because when you walk in at noon or in the afternoon daytime shift, it's nothing but old, frumpy, pissed off, angry, burnt out nurses. But you know they got the day shift, and then when night shift comes, I always like working in the night shift because then the hot, recent graduated ones were working. And they're all in their 20s, and you knew they got the crap shift because they were new and they had no seniority. But it actually gave a boost to like working the night shift because you're like, oh, good, hey, night shift's getting on. All right, good night, Gertrude. Yeah, see you later. Oh, hey, Madison, how you doing? Yeah, college debt is a problem now, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, I would like some coffee. Yes, thank you very much.
Well, I will say this for nursing. One thing I do know a little bit about, because like I said, I did date a few of them. Mm-hmm. If you want to you can actually make serious money in nursing if you actually get a master's degree in nursing in these two specific fields, anesthesia, and secondly, geriatric nursing. It's because all those boomers, and there's a lack of nurses specializing in that. So geriatric nursing and anesthesiology.
To any of the males or females listening.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you're a man, and this is work. This is not a master's degree in women's studies or acting.
No, it's a real gig. Yeah. Nursing is a real thing. I maybe because of sexual predisposition. There's more women in nursing than men, but don't let that deter you. A buddy of mine, he before he became a nurse practitioner, just recently became a nurse practitioner. Before, he was making $50 an hour. He was also a specialist. And now as a nurse practitioner, he's making like 75. He got a $40,000 or $30,000 hiring bonus. I mean, the guy is making bank. Yep. So don't think just because, oh, it's nursing, that's girl work or something. No, that's real work, and it's real freaking pay. So as long as you go to the upper echelons, you don't, where you run into it is there's like a phlebotomist or somebody who went to the ding ding shitmobile school down the street for their 2-year certification on how to dispense meds or how to give somebody a shot, and then they bitch and whine, hey, it sucks, I gotta wipe people's asses. Like, yeah, because you got a not real degree in nursing. You got your 2-year associate bullshit degree. No, go get something worthwhile. And so my goal is to never wipe asses for a living, nor to have my ass wiped ever in my life.
That's right. Yeah.
Die before that.
If it gets to the point where someone else is to wipe my ass, I eat the bullet.
Yep. No, that's time for the 45 caliber Aaron Cleary Smith & Wesson program. Cheap cinema, never had kids, tried to still keep friendships alive. I mean, if you have kids, why is it that you cannot have fun anymore? What the fuck? I don't know, John. I mean, you must have seen this happen. You must have had friends at one time because you moved to Seattle, when you were in your 20s?
Yeah, I was 24 when I moved.
Yeah. Okay, so you had your friends, you had your partying, and I'm sure those friendships sputtered out as they moved or had kids.
Yeah, well, yeah, for me it was a little different though, because when I moved here, it was kind of pre World Wide Web stuff. So it was a lot harder to keep in touch. Mm. So I had this interesting thing happen when Facebook came out where I reconnected with all these people. Mm. So that was interesting. And
was it locally or had they all moved?
Well, New York City, yeah, a lot of them moved, but they didn't move that far. They left the city because, but they stayed, most of them stayed in the state. A lot of where I grew up, it was kind of, my friends were kind of like, Irish Americans. They all became either policemen or firemen or
that's racist. No, that's racist. I love the Bugs Bunny cartoon where it's Rocky and they're in the hideout. Remember this one? And
if I was so and so, I would do this to you.
Yeah. If my friend Rocky wasn't there. Yeah, and then the Irishman comes. All right, where is he? Where is he hiding? He's not in the stove. Oh, he's hiding in the stove. Eh? If my friend Rocky was in the stove, would I do this? You might, Rabbit. You might.
That was great.
Then they spliced the exact, they didn't record it. They just spliced the exact same audio to repeat it. Then the cop really shows up. All right, Rabbit, where's Rocky? Where's he hiding? And none of you fucking millennial or Gen Z brats know what the fuck we're talking about.
That was brilliant, yeah. So stereotype, yeah, the racist Irish thing, cops fireman. But great job. These guys that I grew up with retired at 40 and 41 years old.
Yeah, they get the 25 and out or something. Yeah.
Well, now it's 25 and out. Then it was 20 and out.
Oh, God bless them.
You could get on the police force at 19 and a half.
Oh, gee, imagine that. Now they want you to have your triple masters and pass this and pass that and do this test and that. Like, oh, fuck you. That was. I remember I applied to the local reserve force out here in White Bear Lake, and God Almighty, it took them like 6 months to get back. And they'll say, hey, congratulations, you've been accepted. I'm like, that was 6 months ago. What the fuck? Who's in command? Like, Jesus. But I mean, now, yeah, I don't think you could be a cop at 19 and a half, right? I don't know if you'd want a cop who was 19.
Well, you got to go into the academy. So the logic is by the time you graduate the academy, which is 6 months, 5.5, 6 months, you're 20. But there was many of the cops that had their badge, but they couldn't even drink.
Wow, that's hilarious.
And you're not allowed to drink. I don't think you're allowed to drink for, I forget what it is, for like the first year on the force or something in New York. Anyway,
really?
Yeah, they were pretty strict. I don't know if people enforced that shit. But the reason I know a little bit about this, my roommate in New York became a cop. He did his 4 years in the Navy. And while I remember he came up on leave and stayed with me, took the exam, and then went back. Then when he got out of the Navy, he lived with me for like 1.5 years, and he got called into the academy, and he stayed with me throughout his time in the academy. And then he moved out, and 2 cops came by like a month after he moved out to do a background check on him because I was put down as his reference. And they asked, there was 2 female cops, and they asked all these questions about him. Does he, Does he party? Does he drink? Does he, all this kind of stuff?
Whatever,
Yeah, and then they wanted like other names I could give them and stuff like that, and the weird thing about it was I won't out the guy because no one knows my real name, but he was actually in AA and he actually had a drug problem in the Navy. He got to take care of, and he was totally clean and sober. But I was like saying, well, he just got out of the Navy, so he doesn't really have a lot of friends. Meanwhile he grew up in the neighborhood, and
well, anyway, to answer the guy's question, the reason people don't go out and have fun anymore is because they're tired. That's the number one reason. I got a buddy who has kids. He goes out every time he can. He's still a active participating friend of mine. We're probably going to go get cigars tomorrow. And it is a choice. That is what I've found, is it is a choice. And I understand that people have an obligation to their family and their kids first, but they just get tired. And then it's not that like their wives are hot or they keep them home with great, wild, crazy sex. It's just they go work, then they got to deal with the kids. And sometimes you don't have the energy left over to go out after that. You want to stay in. And it's not even kids. It's like after you get to be a certain age, like I know guys whose kids are out of the house and you don't see them. People want to stay in. I think it takes a truly curious, higher than average IQ mind to like, hey, let's go do this or let's go do that. And of course, it could be I stay at home and I work at home. I just like get the fuck out of here at times. But even before, when I did have a full-time job, most people, man, they want to sit there. They want to watch their TV. They want to have their 2 beers and then they want to go to bed. And then I don't know, what's the excitement in the average week of an average person?
I don't know. I was just thinking, like, it reminded me, I don't know what age it hit me at, sometime, I guess, in the beginning of my 40s, where I just stopped going out on Friday nights. Like after the week, I was just kind of like done. I'd go out on a Saturday, but like Friday, I'm tired, man.
Well, I'm not saying even going to, I'm sure the client is asking, it's not even like, let's go to a nightclub. The fuck if I'm going to go to a nightclub, I'm not going to go to, I mean, heck, I don't even go to bars where it's loud or there's too many televisions on. But I still go out. I mean, a lot of it's like physical. Hey, do you want to go for a run? Hey, we're going to go on the boat. Hey, it's not like I'm saying like, hey, do you want to go to church? Usually the activities I put together are a little bit more fun. And after a while, you spend more energy doing, trying to pull teeth. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to, then you participate in one-person activities or you go to meetup groups and stuff like that.
Yeah, like things like that. Like one of the things I try to do with different friends is like on Sundays, like go out to like brunch with a couple people, just something like that, because everybody's got to eat,
Yeah. All right, let's get another hassle consulting video in here. Otherwise, I'll have to do them myself. Let me see. Did he pay? There we go. Okay. Hey, Cappy, returning client here. I believe it was this past April when I reached out to you for a life checkup. A 24-year-old Canadian who dropped out of university after 3 years of business to drive truck and make big money. You called the video The One Successful Millennial. Anyway, things are going well for me now as I bought my own truck and have made the leap from an employee to small business owner. OFC, what does this mean?
Of course.
Of course. Okay. Of course, this has its advantages, albeit with some risk involved, breakdown maintenance. However, this is neither here nor there for the purposes of this video. I live in Ontario and have dreams of moving out west in the not too distant future. My question to you is as follows. What are the good western states and cities in the United States? I might consider the Vancouver area in British Columbia, but want some analysis of the states. I've heard good things about the West, and you even mentioned in your video response to me that the West is good for young men. But it seems that when you look at some states and cities individually, they all have their problems. Yeah, there's no perfect place. Everything's going to have a problem.
Don't go to Vancouver, BC, buddy. Yeah. It's the women look like the women do in Seattle. So is this guy single?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, pickings are really slim there.
I mean, it's basically the Canadian Seattle, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like that. I don't know about the home prices in Vancouver are completely prohibitive because there's so many Asians that have just bought up the market. I mean, it's just outrageous. I mean, you're going to be paying Seattle prices to live in Canada. It's crazy. With
your buddy Trudeau's taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So cost of living wise, I don't see the trade off. I mean, I need to know more about what this guy's into.
I think he could drive as a truck driver. He could kind of drive his rig anywhere. I'd imagine he has to live near a port. Like, so here'd be it's just me thinking, but he'd have to live near a port like Vancouver or Seattle or something like that. Maybe not. But he'd also have to be driving.
Well, near like major rail access or a port or something.
Yeah. Or the oil fields, either in Canada or the United States. He says, I have heard that Denver is not a good city anymore and the people are spaced out zombies. Portland, Oregon has clearly become the leftist capital of the U.S. Seattle, from what I heard, has always been a feminist city to be avoided by young men, but populated by old farts like John. See, if you're old, you can be like John. In regards to Colorado, Washington, Oregon, are they overall good states with a simple case of leftist overrun major cities? Moving on, Arizona and New Mexico seems a bit too deserty for me, as I don't think I would want to live in the desert. Are they good overall states? I won't even begin on what was once the true golden state and nuclear family utopia, California. Everybody with half a brain can tell you that this state has been essentially ruined. Although I must say, during my visit to Los Angeles, I really did enjoy it from the perspective of a tourist. I have a friend. God almighty, could you imagine driving a semi-truck in Los Angeles traffic?
Oh, man.
Oh, God. Put a bullet in my head. I have a friend who lives in Beverly Hills, and for business tax purposes, he's seriously considering moving to Nevada. Wyoming, I recall you saying it was a shithole and the people are morons. That leaves us with Nevada. Idaho, I have good things about Boise and Montana. I have almost no opinion on Montana, good or bad. Seems a bit too outback for me, but I could be wrong. For analysis purposes, let's assume I have U.S. citizenship and that I can do business anywhere, so don't factor those in. If you have made a video going over this before, kindly point me in that direction. If not, a video response would be great. Furthermore, Aaron, I want to say thank you for the work you do. The younger generations who find your work are lucky. It's such a shame that us free-minded, high IQ individuals are a minority, whilst the NPCs make up the masses. Looking forward to hearing from you. All right. I have a book out there called Reconnaissance Map. I would recommend reading that. That's my answer. Fuck you and good night. No.
No, we got to take this guy's a returning guy. We got to.
He's returning. No, I was just joking. No, I'm kidding. Here's the best. You got to do it by taxes and then by weather. I know you don't like the desert, but what I would strongly recommend you do this winter, a lot of Canadians do this, is you fly down south. And I would go down to Vegas because flights are cheap, or Phoenix. A lot of Canadian flights fly down there. Rent a car and just check out the desert. I can almost guarantee you what you're worried about with the desert is like there's no water out there. When in reality, it's actually quite the opposite. Unless the dams are busted, the desert towns of Phoenix and Las Vegas would last the furthest and the longest because they have a huge reservoir of water. So don't worry about water. Water is plentiful, but even though it will mess with you psychologically, you'll think, oh, there's no water. That happened to me in Wyoming, where I'm like, there's no water. Where's the water? Well, there's water underground. There are streams. You don't need that much water. So it's actually more of a psychological mind fuck. Once you get past that, you realize, hey, it's warm here. Holy shit. And kind of an interesting reverse is people in the desert don't know how to fuck you guys or myself live in these snow tundra states or provinces. And when you think about it, the cold is way more of a threat than the desert. I mean, you can handle 120 degrees weather, but you can't handle minus 30 degree weather. You'll die if you don't have lodging of some sort. So if you could get past that, I think the best state to live in the United States right now is Nevada, specifically in Las Vegas. You could go to Reno if you want, but I think Las Vegas offers the most. Reno's another place to go. Not as nice as Vegas, kind of a shithole, but it's right up against the mountains, so they don't have a water problem, and it's not as hot either. Nevada, if you're not going to live there, I would say take a look at South Dakota, but only the Rapid City area. No state income taxes as well. It will, however, get cold, but I'm going to assume that for you it would be a balmy 20 degrees if you're from Canada. British Columbia, if you want to stay in British Columbia, the only place I kind of recommend in British Columbia would be maybe Kamloops, because the other towns are too picturesque and too expensive to live in. Maybe Calgary, Alberta, but again, that gets bitch-ass cold. But otherwise, getting into the United States still, Nevada's the best state. South Dakota's all right. Washington State is good as long as you don't live in Seattle or Tacoma.
Well, yeah, well, Washington, I would say that they had this caveat to Washington State. There's no state income tax here.
Yeah, no state income tax there.
You're on the eastern side of the Cascades. You got 4 seasons. You know, you're gonna have your snow and all that. You have your nice warm summers, which would be nice. And you could look into, like, say, Spokane area, and you're right next to Boise too. You're a short drive from Boise.
Just from Coeur d'Alene there. That's a real nice area too.
Yeah, I think Coeur d'Alene's really expensive though, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's on the lake.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, but I mean, that's like where all the rich people go to retire.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, so that's tax-free. And then I'm trying to think of the other tax-free states that are out west near some mountains. That just really isn't. There's Wyoming, but my God, talk about retarded people. I mean, that is the dumbest group of people I've ever ran into. And I know everyone thinks like, oh, you know, it's conservative. It's a bunch of white people with their guns. I'm like, no, it's a bunch of white people fucking their cousins. All right. Their meth is huge. Alcoholism is huge. I'll say it again. The only time I had to pull my gun out was in Wyoming, and I had to do it twice. You don't want to live in Casper. You don't want to live in Gillette. You got guys, I mean, you look at a woman funny. Are you looking at my woman? It's like, no, well, she's the bartender. I kind of have to look at her to order a drink. Just dumb. Beautiful otherwise. So if you like want to be a hermit and live out of town, fine. But Wyoming, if it doesn't have any state income tax, don't even bother going there because the people are that dumb. Then the rest of the no income tax states, you're going to have to go down to Dallas, or not Dallas, Texas. I don't know if you want to go that far south. Florida, which puts you way the hell off in the corner of that's like the timeout room. Like you cannot access the rest of the country easily from Florida. New Hampshire and Tennessee, which is a little bit more centrally located. Those have no state income taxes. But honestly, for a young man such as yourself, I would try and park yourself near the oil fields or in the West somewhere. I do like Denver and Colorado. You don't have to live in Denver. You can live in Fort Collins. You can live in Castle Rock. You can live in Aurora. What a lot of people do is they live in Cheyenne, which is right on the border between Colorado and Wyoming. So you don't have state income taxes. You're right on Highway 25. So if you get bored, you can just run off into Colorado. Plus, Cheyenne is, if Wyoming has a cosmopolitan town where people are not too busy fucking their sisters or their cousins, Cheyenne is it. You might get sushi that isn't rotten. You might find a fat chick that's not a single mom. That's in Cheyenne, but that's only because it's the capital. And then Denver's only an hour away. But I would say Salt Lake City, maybe consider it, but you have to pay state income taxes in Utah. Still low taxes, but Salt Lake City is something to consider in Utah. If you want a smaller town, St. George, Utah, but again, you're paying state income taxes. Montana is kind of out there. It's a little bit of Wyoming. Like you go to Billings and you're like, oh my God, there's panhandlers on the street and it's 20 below and every town is super far away. There is no cosmopolitan center. So I'm not a big fan of Montana. Plus it really snows. It really snows and gets cold up there. So your highways are closing down. Idaho's kind of the same way. I wasn't impressed with Boise when I stopped there. You have to pay state income taxes, but maybe that's your cup of tea.
And also there's a huge amount of Californians moving to Boise. That middle-class white flight is one of their targets is Boise.
Mm-hmm. And then liberal white flight. Don't think it's the good white flight. It's your liberal, I'm going to have organic tea and vote taxes up type.
Well, I just want to say a thing about Arizona, though. I think Arizona is going to go blue because of demographic trends. So if you're thinking long-term, I wouldn't suggest it.
Yeah, I would. The only way I'd go to Arizona is because Phoenix is a really nice town. The state is beautiful and fun to hike. I would consider Flagstaff though, because Phoenix just gets super hot during summer. So Flagstaff, you're there, and if it gets too cold, you literally drive 10 miles to the south into the basin, and it heats up by 20 or 30 degrees, and you're in Sedona. So even Flagstaff might get cold. You can just drive a very short distance, and you're warm. But yeah, I would say if you want to kind of stay more Canuckistanian, Washington State, not Seattle. Vegas would be, if you can tolerate the desert. a non-Denver town in Colorado. And then if you're really insistent on no state income taxes and you don't mind Texas or Tennessee, if you don't mind a little bit of taxes, Utah, do not go to Oregon. No reason to go to Oregon. Maybe Idaho as well. And South Dakota. But then South Dakota, you're in the middle of freaking nowhere. It takes forever to fly there as well. So those are the places.
This guy drives for a living, so it sounds like he needs to just fly to the States, rent a vehicle, and drive around. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, you can get the book Reconnaissance Man, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm a little bit more methodical in the book, but I've basically covered the states that and things I would cover. It's really written for kids who don't have any money, have no job, and they got to figure out where to go to college and where they want to live in life. So you could get that and read the last half of the book. But yeah, I mean, this winter, dude, escape the cold, fly down to Phoenix, fly down to Vegas, drive around, check it out. Stopping in smaller towns like St. George or Mesquite or whatever, or Flagstaff. Look at the Grand Canyon and say, hi, Grand Canyon. And then fly back to Canada. You'll have an idea whether you like the desert or not, at least by this winter. And then come summertime, then check out the northern states. But God almighty, you don't want to go to Montana now. All right. Here we go. John, this is a property management question. This is up your alley.
All right.
Well, hang on. Let's take the super chat. Oh, Chris writes, any new guns, Aaron? No, not really. I got, I think that, the newest gun I got is a Tavor 95, X95. It's a bullpup design. And I only have put like maybe 100 rounds in it, but I'm not a big gun guy. I know I have guns, but you only need a certain amount of guns. I have a buddy who has over 600 guns. I'm like, you can only shoot one of those at a time. And
are these like antiques or something? 600, Jesus.
Yeah, some are antiques, but most of them are like, oh, I like it. I'm like, yeah, but you haven't shot it. And the amount of different types of ammo he has, all I need is 223, 9mm, and 40. Oh, I'm sorry, 30-06. It's the only ammo I need. And each gun has a very specific role. I have a hunting rifle to hunt. I have carbines for self-defense and protection. I have a small 9mm single stack pistol for when I'm working security. I have to wear a suit so it doesn't show. I got a regular 9 when I'm in uniform. And then I got a 40 in case I go hiking and I got to drop a lion or a bear or something because the 9mm is just going to piss it off.
So now if you got hollow point, 9mm, it'll put down anything other than a bear.
Well, yeah, and that's what the problem is when I go hiking. I visited TJ Martinell. He's like, oh, there might be bears out there. I'm like, shit. I'm like, I didn't bring a gun. I'm like, you got a gun? No. I'm like, God damn it, TJ. I got a chainsaw. It's like, yeah, I'll just bring that and play some Duke Nukem or something.
Oh, I'd also recommend people. I for home defense, I like a shotgun. It's just the sound of the gauge going, just kind of that's enough to scare him.
Yeah. Chris also for another $2, he buys an insult. He says, makes sense now that you're Jewish. How many guns? Really? How many guns do I need? I don't need that many guns. We have matching sets. Like, here's the thing. If the shit hits the fan, me and the GF have matching sets and we can play Army of Two. Like we just go out in style. We're going to be the last house to fall in the WBL. But I can only shoot one gun at a time. That's it. I can only shoot.
Yeah, Aaron and the GF, they'll be like the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid that when they remember that. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite movies where they run out at the end.
Yeah.
You call that running? You call that shooting? How many of them are there out there? 50. Oh, good. I thought we were in trouble.
Great movie.
You should all be ashamed if you haven't seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That is
the best scene I thought was when he wouldn't jump and he goes, "Why? I can't swim." Well, the fall is gonna kill us.
Yeah. Hey, one thing great about Wyoming, out by is it Casey? Yeah, Casey, town of Casey. Atham looked this up. The Hole in the Wall gang is there. That's where they're from. And we went and looked at me and my buddy Dirty Harriet. We drove out there one time, and I actually got to see where the Hole in the Wall gang holed up. got to see their headquarters. It was out there in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. Aaron Torres donates $5, had near 800 credit score for over 2 years, filed Chapter 7. 10 years. Steps to recover back, and is my entire past history nullified by the predicament I'm in. How did you file Chapter? Oh, I bet you he had really great credit because he had a bunch of lines open and then he couldn't pay it off. That sometimes happens. Here's the deal. Hang on, I got a cough. The only reason you need good credit, okay, there's 2 reasons. One, when you get employed to apply for a job, people are looking at credit scores, but unemployment is so low and people's credit scores are such shit. Unless you're applying for like the FBI or something notable, Fortune 100 company, I don't think it's going to have that bad of an effect on you. The other reason you need a good credit is so you can get a good a good interest rate on a mortgage. Otherwise, there's no reason to have a good credit score. Like right now, I could have my credit score go to pot. It's not going to have an effect on me. The reason why is the only reason you need a credit score is to get debt. And I live a life of not getting debt. So steps to recover back, well, which is 7 or 11. One is a renegotiation where you have a balance left over. The other is where everything's wiped clean. If you have any residual debts from your Chapter 7 filing, pay the fucking shit off. Get another job. And I would even say this, postpone anything else you got. Like work 2 full-time jobs. So don't bother working out. Eat healthy as you can. But you're not going to have any fun. You're not going to have any socializing. And, life is going to suck for the next couple of years. Work another job. Make the money. Pay off those debts. After that, what you want to do is you could play the algorithm game where you reverse the engineer the credit bureau's algorithms to give you a good credit score. Because if you don't have a credit card or you don't have a loan, you're not going to get good credit. Since I don't have any loans, I only have a little credit card. I actually don't have that good a credit because I have no credit. What he needs to do is get a credit card for certain. And then I would open up some little $5,000 line of credit or get like a little like a car loan, even if it's for a small amount, some kind of small amount from the bank, like a $3,000 to $5,000 loan. And then what I would do is, even though you don't need it, immediately pay it off. Draw some money off of it, buy a car if you need that, and immediately pay it off. That'll help boost your credit score. But your credit score is not that vital unless you're having some kind of major purchase that requires you to borrow money anytime soon. And the finance industry and the credit cards are so desperate. Fuck, I remember when all these people were filing for bankruptcy during the Great Recession. 2 years later, they're qualified for a mortgage. Like the banks don't care. They just don't care. Like bankruptcy had shame 30, 40 years ago. Now everybody filed for bankruptcy in the in the housing bubble. Millennials aren't paying their fucking student loans. Knowing you're not tainted. There's no taint anymore. No shame associated with it. And you'll still be able to get credit. They'll still lend to you at pretty reasonable rates. So you have more time to build up your credit score for the only possible thing I could think of, and that is to get a mortgage at some point in time when you want to buy a house. So if you're not buying a house anytime soon, you got all the time in the world. And if you pay off your credit card regularly, maybe have a car loan, even though you don't need it. I'm very much against car loans, but the only reason I'd recommend this one is to build up your credit in the first place. But then after that, yeah, get your mortgage and then pay off your mortgage and never worry about your credit score again.
Yeah, and there's other little things that add to your credit score. I know, like weird things that added to mine was like having the same residence for a long period of time, things like that. Mm-hmm. So there's all these, you'll have to go on the forums and kind of look into that. What are the other little things you can do but like Garen said, what do you really care? What difference does it make?
Yeah, it's almost like what color booty should I get my child? Like, well, are you expecting a boy or a girl? Oh no, we're not having a kid. Well, what does your wife want? Oh, I'm not even married. Well, what does your girlfriend? Oh, I'm gay. It's like, why are you asking about booties and shoes all of a sudden? It's a little premature. So yeah, and watch any video out there. They'll say, hey, here's how you can boost your credit score. There's a ton of videos out there. But I'm trying to put it in the context that like, it's not that vital. You get your credit score up unless you want to go borrow money for a mortgage. And when that time comes, you're not gonna have to worry about it. All right, here we go. Hey, Aaron, I have another one for you. Do I stop funding my IRA to save up for a down payment on a multifamily rental property? Here's some info. I'm 35. Wife is 34. We have about $175,000 currently in our IRAs. I guess it'll be worth 1.25 million to 1.4 million based on a 6 to 7% return without adding to it. I make about 50 to 60K. My wife does not work, takes care of our children. Imagine that. I contribute about $10,000 a year for our retirement accounts. This is our only meaningful investment in annual savings. I figure for 5 years, I put that money into a regular index fund, and that 50K would come out of it to about 70K again on that same 6 to 7%. I'm a self-employed carpenter, highly skilled in the trades from framing to finish work. I know electrical and plumbing well enough. I manage my uncle's rental property currently, about 30 units. I list, screen, lease, and work on his unit for a 25% cut of all rent increase, currently about $1,000 a month. I know I could do the work on a piece of property, and I know I could be a landlord, just need the down payment to start. What do you think and how much? And I really only had one question for him. I said, well, do you have a property in mind, or are you just asking in a general philosophical sense? He says, I do not have a property in mind. The plan would be to stick in the general area my uncle's property is, since I'm familiar with the market. A 3-unit next to the one of his sold for $169,000 a year ago. A guy fixed it up and sold it to another guy who wants to play landlord for $330,000. I think it's overvalued. I would buy something that needs work like the first guy, and I would not rush in to just buy something. John, you're the pro on this one. I have my thoughts, but I'll let you field this one.
Yeah, well, first thing I'd like to know is what state he lives in and what the rules are there regarding evictions. There are several states, including California, where it is almost impossible to get someone evicted for lack of paying their rent. It takes forever. So if you're borrowing the money to do this, or that could be you're borrowing some of the money, that's an issue. Different states have different rules regarding that. That's number one. Two, since you're going to be the guy that's doing the work, you want to invest in a property that is a reasonable drive from you. Normally, I would recommend against people doing this unless because being a landlord can be a real pain in the ass because you're constantly having to deal with your tenants and their complaints. Also, if you do it, make sure you properly screen the applicants. This is another place where a credit score is looked at. So those are just the things that immediately come to mind. Aaron, you want to talk, and more will come to me.
Basically, I would recommend no to any other person except for the fact that this guy's a skilled carpenter and he has property management experience. And now it goes to it depends. And the one thing it depends on is the property. And that's every property ever. It's like, yeah, it could be a great deal if you get it at a good price and there's not a lot of major problems. You can turn it around and fix it up. It could be a horrible deal where you overpay and you miss something on the foundation or something else like that. So, I mean, I'm not against it on philosophy or principle. He's the guy who's qualified. I mean, if there's anyone that can do it, it would be this guy. It's just that I would do a lot of research and hunt around and find the property that's going to work for you, because you want this property working for you, not you working for the property. From a finance perspective, I'm not against him diversifying out of an IRA and getting a little property there. But the other thing is, are you going to flip it or do you want to manage it? I would want a exit strategy so that when you and when wifey is done raising the kids go off to college, you got 10 years or 15 years into this property. There's been significant capital gains. You got it fixed and on the up and up. It's ship shape. It's basically paid for itself. And then you sell it and there's a big dollop that goes back into your retirement accounts. And he's got adequate savings now, especially for mid-30s. That's an admirable amount for two people. Yeah, so you have my blessing as long as it's the right property. And I
also,
don't
do your research regarding the insurance you'll need. You're going to have to factor in costs like that. Make sure you form an LLC. Don't buy it under your own name.
Right.
These are basic steps. I'm not sure how knowledgeable he is about the doing that. So these are things you're going to have to look into and actually speak with an accountant.
Yes. Oh, do we know an accountant by chance?
I think C, first name is C, second name with an L.
I think this guy, oh, yeah, he promotes himself as the homosexual CPA, Chad Elkins. The world's famous homosexual CPA, Chad. Hey, it's Chad.
But seriously, to the gentleman that asked the question, you must speak to an attorney. Excuse me, a CPA. Attorney, avoid attorneys at all costs. No. Hopefully, you'll never have to speak to an attorney.
I'm gonna guess with a 3-unit costing $169, he's not in like L.A. or New York. With these prices, but yeah, you're gonna want to look at your. Well, and he's already familiar with it because he manages his uncle's property. But I'd look at the landlord-tenant laws and see how favorable they are. I'm going to assume he knows the market. But yeah, this guy's eminently qualified to do such a move. I would just make sure he does his research and some really good thorough projections. I'm going to assume he's familiar with the Schedule E. If he's not, contact our homosexual friend, Chad Elkins at elkincpa.com. And he does great work. You know how gays are very meticulous?
And he's a snappy dresser.
And he's a very snappy dresser. I'm going to catch flack for that one. So, all right, there we go. All right, well, that's enough. I think we got plenty here. I got some others that came in, but they're not like, okay, here's just, guys, Surfing Pikachu, if you're listening. When you go to assholeconsulting.com and you fill in the contact form, you really have to fuck it up to enter in your email the wrong way twice the same way. You're really, because it asks you for your email, and then it asks you to type in your email again so it matches. And this happens at least once a month, where not only did you type in the wrong email, and then the email, when I send it back to you, gets kicked back to me. In order for me to get that email, you had to enter your email incorrectly the exact same way twice. So for God's sake, people, enter your email the correct way twice. Not the wrong way, the same way twice, the correct way twice. Because now, Surfing Pikachu, if he's listening, he says, oh, this couldn't be delivered because this email doesn't exist. So I will not be able to consult him. John, where can people find you?
John _Steele 99 Twitter, and John Steele Show on YouTube.
All right. Chad Elkins writes, I'm not gay, you assholes, for $2. See, we got $2. Oh, we got one more super chat from Naruda Kikun. Having been penniless until this year, I'm 45 years old. I recently inherited $350,000. What should I do with it other than sending $5 to you? If you're penniless, I'm going to assume and you're 45, I'm going to assume you have had no skills whatsoever. Engineers aren't penniless. CPAs, like Chad Elkins, the gay CPA, is not penniless. You got to get some kind of skill, dude. So go to school, study hard. That's the investment I would make. And then, I don't know, with the rest of it.
I would divvy it up. Assuming if he doesn't need this money to live, let's take the $300,000 and say, you divide it 3 ways. Like, you could put like $100,000 in an index fund, another $100,000 you put in CDs. And
well, see, I'm not going to recommend that because I can't recommend specifically what people invest in.
Okay.
Unless I know it's going to pay off. So, for example, I could say he should invest it into a well-diversified portfolio, but he's going to have to contact an investment professional to do that.
Yeah. I'm saying what I would do. What I would do.
Oh, what you would do. Okay.
What I would do is I'd take $100,000 of it. I'd put it in the S&P 500 or the Dow index fund. I'd take another $100,000 and I'd put them in, CDs that are insured. You could ladder them out, so like you'd have like a 6-month, 1 year, 18-month, 2 years. I wouldn't go further than that because I think interest rates are on their way up. And the last $100,000 I would divvy up a few ways. I don't know, maybe I'd take $10,000 and I'd buy physical silver with it.
Only thing I would do, I can recommend 2 things that he can do. One, if he doesn't have real skills, which he says he has a master's in English literature, well, there you go. If you have any debts from that, pay those off. If you have any credit card debts, pay those off. Pay off your highest interest rate credit card debts or loans, pay those off. And then since you have no skills, go get some. With the rest of the money, which should still be a sizable amount, that's where you got to go talk to an investment planner, financial advisor, and find a well-diversified portfolio. You might want to think about housing if you're living in the area that you like, but without any skills, I'm assuming you're going to have to be at the mercy of the labor market, and I would not anchor yourself to a physical location with a house if you're just going to get your engineering degree in 2 to 3 years from now. So to capitalize on that degree, I'd be very mobile as well. But that's
and also don't tell anyone you inherited this money if it's not too late.
God Almighty, don't tell anyone. No, do not tell anyone you don't have it. And then God Almighty, don't piss it away on booze and drugs and whores or fun. Just, I mean, you could squirrel it away, and with average stock market returns historically, blah blah blah, that would exponentially grow. But let's get some skills in there first and clean up your balance sheet first, and then you can figure out what to do with remains. And I think, one more. See, they do this to us, John. They like donate money at the last. Oh, he's leaving. Give him money now. Jane Van Der Fluff says, bail out humanities student loans, but use teachers and professor pensions to do so. Transfer the remaining debt to humanities professors. Bail out the humanities. Yeah, but I don't think most teachers and teachers have pensions. Most professors do not. Schools have been getting hip to the jive, colleges, I mean, where they're like, why would we pay a full-time professor salary and pension when we got thousands of unemployed master's degree kids that can teach the humanities as an adjunct for $18 an hour? I don't think there's a lot of pension. Now, what I would do, bail the humanities student loans out with the endowments that schools and universities have, like the Harvard Fund and the Yale Fund. Like people will donate money to they got this endowment, John?
Oh yeah, Harvard University has the largest endowment fund. It's an obscene amount of money. It's in the billions.
Well, hang on. Let's see, how much. I mean, there's $1 trillion and change of student loans. Harvard Endowment Fund. $37 billion. That's not enough. Yeah, we'd have to take all the endowments of universities, and that would make maybe a significant dent. And I would be for confiscating teacher pensions at the K through high school level. I think that would definitely be worth it. And then if there is anything left over, yeah, you could pay it to the teachers or the professors. But I'm not holding out for that. That's something President Clary would do. President Clary would just say. But then I wouldn't be president. I would be dictator Clary, because emperor. Like, hey, guess what? Congress has a vacation for the next 20 years. Nah, go play. Get to the Hamptons. I'll be visiting with lots of gunships. So, all right, that's it, John.
One more. Duke tips. Send us $5. You guys are the best. All right, that's a great $5 right there. Thank you so much, buddy.
Duke, I like those when I don't have to answer anything. That's great. You guys are the best. Well, thank you very much. No, I appreciate the super chats. These are great. What the money goes to? What, the Chad Elkins homosexual fund, where we raise awareness for gay accountants? Is that where we?
That's where it goes.
That's where it goes. Okay, good. All right, I got to get going. I'm losing my voice, and I got to go have some fun. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. John, thank you for coming on Asshole Consulting, celebrity guest live hour, whatever I'm going to call it. Down the road, I will be doing some individual Asshole Consulting requests, but I will be having special guest celebrities, maybe even more popular than you and me, John. We might even have some more popular celebrities than you and me doing Asshole Consulting.
I'll be tuning in.
Cool. All right, we'll see you guys later. Toodles.
Later.